Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So welcome to online classes. This is the social studies subject class 10 and this is the fifth chapter, Indian rivers and water resources. This is the part 2. Okay, this is the part 2 and part 1 has already been released. So if you see the subtopics of this lesson, the first three topics we have completed in part 1 and part 2 we are going to complete even the part 3 also is there. So let's complete within the part 3 all these topics. We can cover all these topics. So now in this part 2 the first topic is water use. So what is this water use? Water flowing out via surface flows and groundwater. So we use the water, right? For what purposes we use the water we are going to learn. Imagine a region such as a village. So when you imagine a region, like when you say a village, some amount of water would flow out of the village as surface flows through streams. So some amount of water would flow out of the village as surface water flows through streams. As when you take a small glass and you fill it with water, even more and more the water tries to come out, right? At the same time the water flow out in the villages also. When the water is full of streams, it comes out of the village. During monsoon months especially, this surface flow would increase substantially. Okay, substantially. That means in monsoon season, the rainy season, the rains will are very heavy, right? The rains are very more. So at that time the water in the streams or lakes is very more, and because of that the surface flow is also more. A portion of the rainfall percolates into the soil and travels to the ground underground strata and recharges the aquifers. Some of it flows into and becomes available for use through wells and bore wells, and a portion of it goes into very deep aquifers that do not become available. Okay, so when you see a portion of the rainfall, it percolates into the soil. Okay, now if you take some amount of soil and if you pour water in it, the soil tries to absorb that water into it. Okay, we know this, yeah. The soil percolates the rainfall water into it. So and then this underground water, the strata, and it recharges. So it underground water strata and it recharges the aquifers. So some of it also flows into it, and it also becomes available for use through wells and bore wells. Yeah, from where does the water come through the wells and bore wells? In this way, right? And it is also available in a portion of which is very deep aquifers that do not come available, that do not become available. Some of the underground waters become part of flows that eventually appear in streams or rivers. So some of the underground water, which are there, the underground water, they become part of flows that eventually appear in streams or rivers. So some another water still which are there, they join into the streams or rivers in that way. Okay, this is the first introduction part of the water use. So now let's see how for what purposes we use water in our daily life. Okay, so now the first one, when you observe water for agriculture, that means not only for agriculture, we have even other uses. Okay, water is also used for agriculture purposes. Water reaches the root zone of crops on either through rainfall or the process of irrigation. So the crops or plants which are there, they need water to survive, to grow, right? To give us fruits and vegetables and all the things. They need water. So the plants get water either through the rainfall, when the rainfall comes, or through the process of irrigation. So what is this irrigation? Watering the plants. Irrigation is watering the plants through different types of methods. Okay, there is a capacity of the soil to store this moisture. So there is a capacity for the soil to store this, to hold the water in it. If there is excess water such as flood and this isn't able to percolate below, it would damage the roots. Now if you put more and more water which soil even cannot absorb, at that time as such as flood, when you see the flood, what happens, the water cannot percolate in it, so that it causes the damage to the roots. because they cannot take the oxygen. Of course they can take the oxygen from the water, but that much won't be there as it is out, right? So this problem occurs. Okay. So on the other hand, in a drought situation, if there isn't enough moisture in the root zone, the crops will either wither or wilt. Okay, so when the water is full, such as flood, the damage of fruits occur. And if in contrast to that, in a drought situation, that means no water situation, no rainfall, or even the process of irrigation is not also available in the drought situation. At that time, enough moisture is not present in the root zone, so at that time the crops even damage and they may wilt. Okay, they may wilt. So this is water for agriculture. Okay, and let's see the other use of the water. Now, water used for domestic purpose and for animals also. So not only for agriculture, for domestic purpose and also for the animals. Water used for drinking, cooking, washing, cleaning and for animals is vital. Okay, we use water, not only we, animals and all the domestic purpose, we use the water. So we drink the water, we use water in cooking, washing, cleaning, and also animals use water. That is vital. And planning is needed for this component to increase the availability, so that minimum amount is actually made available to all, irrespective of their income. So planning is very important in this component, because they have to increase the availability of the water so that they can have still more in the future, right? And now the water is being used very carelessly, and because of that the future generations may not have enough water. So we have the responsibility to save it, right? Just to stop using more and more water. Okay, that is our responsibility. So now, water for industrial use. So water is also used in industrial purposes for different to do different things. Okay, so water is required for manufacturing processes, and this demand often competes with domestic and agricultural uses. So water is also used in manufacturing things and processes, and this demand it also competition, like you say, with the domestic and agriculture use of water. This needs to be taken into account as this conflict is on the increase. Okay, so that they need to take into account, because this conflict which is there, this conflict is on the increase. The challenge areas that industrial use face are recycling of water and control of pollution. Okay, so the challenge areas that the industrial use phase are recycling of water and control of pollution. So they are trying their level best to stop the to reduce water, not reduce but minimize, you can say. And then pollution free, the control of pollution, they're trying their best in doing that. Okay, so this is the water for industrial use. Now, water is available to a region or a village does not only depend on the inflows but also on what is already available as stock that we use. So here the main important three words are inflow, outflow and the stock. So let's define these three words first, and then let's go into the matter which is there on the slide. So first, inflow. What is this inflow? Suppose, if let's take an example of a tank. On the house, on every house there will be a tank, right? So let's take a tank in one particular house. So the inflow, that means the water, the amount of water that it is entering the tank. Okay, that is the inflow. And outflow, how much the water is coming out of that tank, that means how much we are using it, that is outflow. And what is the stock? In between this inflow and outflow there will be some amount of water, so that is the stock. Okay, these three clear. If you understand, you can understand the topics, and there are many much information about this. Okay, what is available to a region or village does not depend only on the inflows, but also it depends on the available as stock that we use. We often have to keep this distinction between stock and flow clear in our analysis, so that should be very clear for us. For example, imagine a tank that is constantly being filled by an inlet pipe and water, and water is constantly used by an outlet pipe. So inlet pipe and outlet pipe, we can measure the inflow as amount of water in liters per minute, and the outflow similarly as the water in liters per minute that flows out. So those two are inflow and outflow are measured in liters per minute. Okay, the amount of water in the tank keeps varying, but at any one moment in time, say at 8:30 p.m., so anytime at one moment we can measure the amount in the liters or in the water. So that is the stock of water at that particular time. Okay, so this is the thing. So let's get to the other slide now. So a village may have tanks, ponds, lakes as surface storages. So a village they can have tanks, ponds or lakes, they can have any types of storages. Most villages in India draw water from wells and tube wells. So most of the villages, if you see in India particularly, they draw the water from the wells and tube wells. They are dependent on groundwater storage, so they can store water in groundwater also, that. So they depend on this groundwater storage when there is no rain. Okay, these inflows and storage are connected. So the inflows and the storage system, which is it, they are connected. While some of the water flowing in is used directly, one part of this is recharging or replenishing the storage. Okay, when the inlet pipe, it is connected with the groundwater storage, and sometimes it recharges also. Similarly, the use of tube wells draws water from storages and lowers the water available in them. So when the tube wells, when you observe, it is also the underground system. So when you draw water from the storages, and it lowers water availability in them. Okay, of course it does. Depending on comparative rates of inflow and outflow, we can judge what is happening to the stock of water over many years. So when you have the values of inflow and outflow, you can judge to the stock. So what is happening, are we using more water or less water? You can understand according to that. The question that we face today is the depletion of groundwater storages and a tendency not to care about the availability of future generations. So a question we are facing in the present society is the depletion of groundwater. So the groundwater is depleting day by day. That means if you go how many meters down in the groundwater, the water cannot be seen, right? That is causing, and for future generation the water availability is neglected. If that is done in future generations, the problem will be very the water will not be for the daily activities itself. Okay, the annual flows and stocks that recharge wells and tube wells is the water that is available for use. So the annual flows which are there, and the stocks, okay, the stocks and the recharge wells and tube wells is the water that is available for use. We should keep our needs in this range. Okay, we should keep our needs in this range. When we dig into deeper aquifers, that is the groundwater, this is like mining water that has collected over thousands of years. Yes, when we dig into deep aquifers, that means the groundwater, it is like mining, because the water that is in underground, it is in before many thousands of years ago. So when they stored, now we are using. So if he doesn't store now, in the future generations, how will they dig, and how will they survive without water? So that we need to think here. This is to be done only in extreme drought situations and replenished in good rainfall years. So when drought situations are there, and they have to be replenished in good rainfall years. Okay. So this is the end of part 2, and part 3 is coming soon. Even part 4 is also there. And like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. Thank you.